unmute there. Alrighty. Welcome everybody who's made it on so far. We're going to take just a couple minutes to let some additional attendees roll in, and then we will get things kicked off probably in the next couple minutes. So if you're on right now, just hang tight and we'll get started soon. Thanks. All right, looks like still have some attendees rolling in. So as soon as that kind of levels out here, we'll get started probably around 12:02, 12:03. So thanks everybody for joining. All right, it's looking like the attendees are leveling off on joining. So we'll go ahead and kick off this Farm in Focus webinar. Thanks everyone for joining. Really excited for the lineup that we have today. This is a webinar that kind of originated from questions that we get from farmers a lot on, after all of this funding from research that comes out of the different checkoff organizations, and obviously especially the soybean checkoff, where does it go and how can they access it? How can they use it? Where can they read about it? And what tools are available, whether those be just informational tools or decision-making tools, etc. So we brought in 3 of our panelists today are some managers of some checkoff funded research resources. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce our 3 ladies today. First, we have Cate Newberg, who manages the National Soybean Research Checkoff database and also the Soybean Research Information Network. And Cate is going to give us a run through of SRIN, is the acronym for that, and what types of resources can be found on that website. We also have Dr. Kiersten Wise, who's an extension plant pathologist from the University of Kentucky, and she manages the website, the Crop Protection Network. And so she's going to run through some of the tools that the Crop Protection Network can provide to farmers. And then lastly, but obviously not least, we have Rachel Vann from North Carolina State University. She's an extension soybean specialist there, and she oversees the program Science for Success. So once again, these are 3 programs that are hosts of some checkoff funded research and some tools that farmers can use to help make some decisions for their farm. So I hope everyone enjoys the content today. Just a couple things before we move on. If you do have any questions throughout the presentations today, just stick those in the Q&A, which you can find on the bottom of your screen, most likely in the toolbar. And we will ask those as they come in. So please feel free to ask as this goes along. I know a couple of our presenters have slides, but we want it to be very conversational throughout. So with that, I think first thing is I'm going to kick it over to Cate Newberg, and she's going to share with us some of what her project is.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks for inviting me to this. Like Eric said, I'm Cate Newberg, and I manage, excuse me, I manage the Soybean Research Information Network website and the National Soybean Research Database. So we have a lot of different acronyms that go around, but we do call it SRIN. I'm going to go ahead, if you don't mind, and get right into it with a couple slides just to show you what it looks like and what the functionality is of what we have to offer to farmers. So give me 1 second here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, if that's all right. Share screen. Give me 1 second here. I apologize. It just takes a minute to get everything up and going. So first of all, we know that soybean farmers seek a variety of information, you know, as they adopt new management practices, technologies, and improve their operations. And we know that Soybean Checkoff funds an enormous amount of volume of research that's on a national level, a regional level, and state levels to create value and really to improve sustainability and boost profitability. But that's where SRIN comes in. So we want you to check in on your Checkoff research. And this is the place to do it. So it starts out that, you know, we have the National Soybean Checkoff Researcher Database. I'm going to call that the national database because it gets really long to keep repeating that entire thing. But we take projects that are put in here from every state. These are Checkoff projects that are added by the state research directors. And it tells everything about that project, from the basic things of the title and the amount funded to what your goals were with the project and your deliverables and how it benefits farmers. There's a lot of great information that is stored there. And then we take that information and we write about it in more of a digestible manner that highlights the focus of the research and goals and those benefits to the farmers. And this is where we say we communicate this. We use the SRIN site as a place to communicate all of that information. Jump in whenever you want because I tend to get really excited and don't stop. So this just kind of gives you an idea of what this looks like. When you log on to the SRIN site, there are a lot of great things you're going to see. You're going to see articles that we put on here every single week. We identify them by the state that submitted them, the name of the article. You can click on it and find all kinds of information. You can search at the top of our page, which gets you great information of agronomics, diseases, pests, different resources we have to offer. And that little yellow bar at the top allows you to search by your state, or any state for that matter. You can go on there and you can see exactly what is going on for your state. We'll just click through here. So this just gives you an idea. I pulled down the state. This is all static. So I pulled down the state bar just to show you what this looks like. You would go down there and you would select your state. Here's just a background of a page that I had pulled up. And then you see everything about Missouri. So you can get on here and say, wow, this is what they're trying to make sure farmers know about the dollars that are invested. Here's their top funding areas for research, their critical research that they fund, any innovations, and really some of their biggest success stories. So that's a great place to just know basic information about research for each state. Along with that, you can find every research article we've written about Missouri, where that little arrow is right here. And you click on that and it shows you every article. You can pull up ones. We're not a one and done sort of entity. We don't just do it 1 week and then never show it again on the website. We constantly refer back to them through different things. We will post them on our soy snippets section. And this is a place where every month we follow an agronomic calendar for the most part. And every month we put up a different topic. We add videos that we do with farmers that are Q&A videos that say, what is an issue with, you know, for a particular topic like stress tolerance or anything, what is going on your farm surrounding that topic? What kinds of things do you want people to know all over your state? Or does your state have the same issues that you're having just on your farm? So we have a lot of different videos. I think right now we have about 165 videos on our website that are farmer Q&A. So it's a great resource just to find out what's going on. What may be going on in Missouri could be completely different than what's going on in Kansas or Iowa or anywhere else. So it's just a great reference for you. Along with that, we have a monthly newsletter that goes out. And this is once a month that covers really everything that's on our website. And so if you missed the website, you missed the information, we're going to try to get it to you in another way. So you can sign up for our monthly newsletter right on the bottom of our website. And you will get this in your mailbox every single month. And it's a different topic every month. I'm sure you're all signed up. We also offer, under our resources section of our website, some infographics. And these are basically, if you don't want to go through and you want to talk to other farmers, or you just want a quick and easy, guide to what something is, here's one on gall midge. And it just gives you a quick outline of, hey, here's what this is, here's what you should be concerned about, here's how to manage it, without having to go through and read research and articles and so on. The one thing I did fail to mention that I do have to tell you is on every single highlight or article that we write, and we've written about 230 this year alone, or 2022. So we get quite a bit of research on here, but on the bottom of every single article is a link to the database. So if you want to dig deeper and you go, hey, I want to know what's going on, and some of the project reports and some of the details of this project, you can link right to that and find that information. So it's just a great opportunity to find out more and see the things you can read right on our website, but then, like I said, dig deeper. And here's just maybe, oh, that's it. So that kind of gives you in a nutshell what SRIN is about and what we do. Our number one goal really is to say, we want to deliver practical information about checkoff research to farmers. And if we can do that, we are successful. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kiersten, if you don't mind.
All right. Well, thanks, Kate. And thanks, Eric and everybody, for the opportunity to come on today. I'm Kiersten Wise. Eric said I'm an extension plant pathologist at the University of Kentucky, but one of the other hats I wear is as a co-director of the Crop Protection Network. And just to kind of give you some background, I'm sure many of you on here probably remember or at least have heard of the disease soybean rust, right? And so if you remember when that came into the US way back in 2004, it was a really big deal. And we didn't know a lot about the disease. And so every single state was putting out information about soybean rust. But really, we all had the same information. So there was, one fact sheet on soybean rust in Missouri, and the exact same information was in a fact sheet from Iowa. And as plant pathologists at the time, really people were saying, okay, well, why are we all saying the same thing? It's so much stronger when we say it with one voice. And so that's sort of, what launched what eventually became the Crop Protection Network, is that, so many of us across states, we're working across state lines, we're doing research that's collaborative across state lines. We have a lot of soybean checkoff projects that apply to other states. And so we take a lot of that multi-state information and we're translating it into outputs that are available for farmers on the Crop Protection Network. And so I'm going to share this so you can kind of see what it looks like. You can scan that code on there to get to the website, or you can just go to cropprotectionnetwork.org and you can find all of the information that's available for us. A few things I just want to highlight on here is that, at CPN, we primarily provide field crop pest management information. That's sort of our focus. And it's really heavy on disease management information. And we are really taking a lot of that checkoff research and translating it into outputs that are going to be available to help you better manage not only your diseases, but other pest issues as well. Some of the ways that we do translate that research information are going to be in things that are our most popular outputs, are things like our fungicide efficacy guides. I get the really fun task of, in January, every January, I email all of my extension colleagues all across the US and I say, how did these fungicide work in your soybean trials? And then we take all that information and we put it into our fungicide efficacy table. So every year you can look and see how the products that are currently available for you to use on soybeans, how they work against different diseases. And we update that. The newest version is going to be available next month for 2023. So I'd encourage you to go check that out. We have that for not only foliar products, we also have that available for seed treatments for soybeans as well. And so a lot of the research that's funded looking at seedling disease pathogens, or even some of your foliar diseases, a lot of that research is being used in those fungicide efficacy guides, and those are going to be available for you to use. Another thing that we have that's sort of a newer output from the Crop Protection Network are our research reviews. And so this is an output where we take published research on some of these soybean pest management problems. A lot of it is Checkoff funded research. And we take the published research and we translate it into something that, you know, really humans can understand. We get rid of all the technical scientific language and we actually say, here's the bottom line. Here's how this research can have an impact for you. And so those are going to be some things that are available. If you're interested in how that research turns out or what really applies to your particular farm from that research project, those research reviews are a really good way that you can find that out. And then one of the other really, I think, unique things about the Crop Protection Network is that so many of our outputs, whether they are our research reviews, whether they are just some of the overviews or write-ups on certain pest topics, or our webinar series, CPN TV, almost all of our outputs that we have available on CPN, you can get Certified Crop Advisor continuing education credit by watching our webinars or reading our articles, taking a little quiz. And then if you pass that quiz, you can get some CCA CEUs. So a lot of the outputs we have, you can get some credits to continue your education at the same time learning about some of the soybean checkoff research. And so that I think is one of our added bonuses that we have. Now, we have a lot of other offerings that I'd be happy if there's any specific questions to answer, but at this point in time, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to kick it over to Rachel.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Delighted to be here with you. And I would reiterate thanking Missouri Soybeans for the opportunity and also Cate for making sure that the Science for Success project had an opportunity to be highlighted here. So my name's Rachel Vann. I'm the soybean specialist at NC State University. I also lead the National Science for Success project. And I want to tell you a little bit more about Science for Success and some of the deliverables that we have, and also emphasize there are a lot of states that participate in Science for Success, and we're really excited to get the University of Missouri added to our list soon when your new extension specialist is hired. So what is Science for Success? Science for Success is a united soybean supported project that brings together researchers and soybean extension specialists from across the U.S. to collaboratively deliver best management practices to U.S. soybean farmers. And if there's a variety of ways that we deliver those best management practices. So the first is we summarize existing and ongoing state-supported soybean checkoff research by working together in a national network. We also collaborate on national research trials annually. That's a very important aspect of Science for Success. And those research trials are generally supported by our state boards or other funding entities, and the USB is supporting the outreach arm of this project. We also work to amplify our state level research and extension knowledge up into the national level. I'm going to give a few examples of how they do that. So one of the things we do is summarize existing and ongoing QSSB supported checkoff research. This is an example of that. Last year, we put out an extension publication on important risks, managements, and misconceptions across soybean growth stages. And this document leverages a lot of institutional knowledge that our team has from conducting research that was funded by the Checkoff for many years. You can get this document using the QR code here. And there's also a webinar that was hosted that accompanied this document. We had several hundred growers from across the United States attend, and I was just looking, and there's been about 700 views on that webinar where we discuss some of these management and misconceptions across soybean growth stages and reference throughout that document previously funded QSSB research. The next way we deliver best management practices to U.S. soybean farmers is through collaborative research. And this is just one example of the collaborative research trials that we work on. This is a particular trial that we did in 2019 and 2020 across the U.S. looking at the value of foliar fertilizers applied at R3 or beginning pod in soybeans. We looked at the impact on yield, but also protein and oil and nutrient dynamics. And the beauty of this collaborative research is instead of having 3 or 4 sites of data from one individual state in 1 year, we can capture, 30 to 50 environments of data each year and really drive down into what types of yield environments and soil types and production scenarios do some of these production practices make a difference. So that's one example of our collaborative research trial. We typically have 2 to 3 collaborative projects a year. Some of those in recent years have included looking at nitrogen fixation under different nitrogen and sulfur fertility regimes. That project's led by Ignacio Campiati's team out of Kansas State University. We had the foliar fertilizer projects. We had a project led out of the University of Wisconsin looking at soil health and its relationship between soybean yield and management strategies. One of the new national research trials that we have had this year and we'll have again next year is a trial focused on biological seed treatments. And the real goal is we get feedback from growers on our state level boards about what are the best management practices they really want us to focus on with our collaborative research trials. And then we run common protocols across the US investigating those various management strategies. I'll emphasize that Science for Success is an outreach project really funded by the United Soybean Board. The research is funded generally by our state or other entities. And so because we're an outreach project, we try to use a diversity of strategies to get the information to growers. We use some of the things Cate mentioned and Kiersten mentioned, YouTube videos, we do webinars. We house our information on the Soybean Research and Information Network or website, or SRIN, which Cate just talked about. We also utilize our local extension networks to really amplify the impact of this project. Most of the PIs involved have heavy extension specialists within their individual state. So we try to use a diversity of mechanisms to get the information developed by the Science for Success team out to growers. We have recently started a Twitter, at least in April 2022, and follow us at Soybean Science 1. We post all of our extension publications and developed materials here. And another thing that we've been doing on our Twitter feed, which you might find of interest, is these soybean specialists from across the United States are taking videos from the field and posting pictures about what's going on in soybean production in their area. What kind of deficiencies are we seeing? What kind of pests are we seeing? And so growers from across the U.S. can get a pulse on crop status and some of the challenges and joys being encountered in soybean production across the U.S. So just to revisit our goals and how we deliver these best management practices, it's really all about strengthening linkages between the state level supported research and the USB supported research and how we're getting information out to growers. We use our existing knowledge from state supported soybean research. We collaborate on national research trials to develop new and updated best management practice recommendations. And we use a diversity of outreach strategies, which include collaborating with the SRIN network and Cate, and also we are expanding our relationship with the Crop Protection Network in an effort to amplify the impact of our material and identify new collaborative opportunities. And that is what I hope to share about Science for Success. I will again emphasize, all soybean extension personnel working in the agronomic space from across the U.S. are invited to participate in our group, and we look forward to working with the new soybean specialists at Missouri.
Awesome. Yeah, Rachel, I know that our farmers and myself and Gary and others are very anxious to get soybean specialists hired here in Missouri as well. So hopefully soon. But really appreciate all of those presentations. If anyone attending does have any questions, like I said, we're more than welcome to add those to the Q&A. One just general comment, Kiersten, on the crop protection network, those fungicide efficacy guides are super valuable. Especially, this is a soybean webinar, but for threatening diseases like tar spot and corn and others where, farmers are anxious about how they're going to manage those types of diseases. Like I said, general comment, but definitely encourage farmers to get on to the crop protection network and, know what diseases are in your area and look to see which of those fungicides work best on those particular diseases.
Yeah, Eric, that's a really good point. We're focusing on soybeans today, but at CPN, we have resources. We cover the crops of corn, soybean, wheat, alfalfa, and now cotton. And so that might be of interest to some of the farmers on this call as well. So we're going to have some resources available for all of those crops. But those fungicide efficacy guides, they are our most popular output, but I think they also have the most impact because each year they're getting updated and refined with the latest research that's going on across the US. So,
and are those fungicide guides, are those developed off of data from kind of your national uniform trials? So can you explain those a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know Rachel mentioned, the big research network that a lot of the agronomists do. And the plant pathologists have a similar kind of project, not only for soybean, but also for corn and wheat as well, where, I'll be doing a trial in Kentucky and Mandy Bish in Missouri will probably be doing the same exact trial with the same exact treatments. And then that, last year we had over 15 states doing that. And so then we can take all of those data and we can do two things with them. We can use those values to sort of populate our efficacy trial guides and the efficacy guides, but we can also use those to refine our recommendations for, fungicide timing for particular diseases, how fungicides impact yield. And so we have a lot of things we can do with those data because, like Rachel mentioned, it's such a strong data set when you have so many states and locations participating.
Yeah, definitely. And I know, fungicides are always a question that farmers have and how that investment is best used on timing and everything. So it's a really great resource. Cate, for your project in SRIN, can you talk just a little bit more about the National Checkoff Research Database and I guess why that's important, why farmers should care that exists?
Well, they should care that it exists because it houses all of the research done nationwide from every soybean state regional group and organizations like that. Everything that is in there represents a project that was funded and completed by a state. And so it's a great place to have all that information. You can go back 12, 15 years on some of the research that's in there. And right now, this is all production research. The plans in the future are to move this to more of an all-inclusive database where it includes all of demand and supply. But right now, it's mostly just the supply with production research topics in there. But you can find anything in this database. And it's a great opportunity to, like I said, to dig deeper. If you're looking for information, you go, hey, what has my state done on SCN or charcoal rot, or name any topic? You can go in there and you can put in the search by state, by category of research. You can do keywords and you can find that research that's been completed and what year you want to see it. And the great thing is if you pulled up a project for Missouri, you can pull it up and you can say, hey, I want to see what we did last year, but it'll also show you every other project that was done under that same heading, that same title. And so it's just a great resource to have. Now, we don't send farmers there just to say, hey, go peruse this and check it out. But what we do is refer to it a lot and link to it in all of our articles and information that are on SRIN. So that if you do want to dig deeper, you can find that information. So it's just a great resource to be able to have a library of research that covers everything that every state has completed.
Yeah, thank you for that. Any other panelists have any comments to offer? I guess one thing that I would also, ask is, so for your 3 projects, you're not necessarily on an island. I think, the 3 of you work together on things and your sites somewhat interact with each other. And then also, are there synergies in ways that you can build content off of, data and resources that each of you has individually?
Who would like to jump on that one? I can go ahead and start. We have great synergies, I think, and they're only going to improve as we go on. We right now are incorporating a lot of things for Science for Success. We're going to be incorporating a lot more for Crop Protection Network, but we do have some on our website. And the idea is that if you don't see it in one place, you can see it in another. We want to make sure there's many opportunities out there to get those resources, to find out where to find more, to find out, what's even available. And I think we all share in that aspect where we want to make sure farmers are seeing this information. Those growers are going out and saying, well, I saw this here and I also saw it here. And it becomes more of an action than of always going and looking for more information in several different places. So we're all on the same team is what I say. We are out here to make sure that we represent farmers in every way we possibly can. And you guys jump in. I'm sure you have great input as well.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rachel.
I think one of the major benefits of us all working together is we all have different strategies that we're really implementing to try to amplify the benefit of checkoff investments, and working together and each of us knowing some of the opportunities are unique assets to our individual groups helps us work more strategically at getting information disseminated. For example, this webinar, I think Cate linked us up to be involved in this webinar and try to promote Science for Success. Without SRIN knowing about Science for Success and us collaborating, we wouldn't have had this type of opportunity. That's just one example. Other examples with the upcoming Commodity Classic and other soybean events, knowing what each others are doing and being able to feed off of that and collaborate. And really, I think amplify the checkoff investments that are associated with these groups is a real beauty of working closely together.
Yeah, and I'll just second all that. I think all of our groups enhance each other. I mean, we're all sort of leading a team, but those teams are all interacting together. And all of that really, I think, like Cate mentioned, gives the benefit because it's almost a multiplier effect for farmers, and they have more opportunities to see those checkoff dollars at work across a broad range of disciplines and a broad range of topic areas. And so I think it's one of those things that I would really encourage farmers to stay tuned because, really this is just the beginning of a lot of the projects and collaborations that are planned for these and other checkoff funded groups.
Yeah, that's great. I think, I don't have any additional questions. I think maybe just to end things up here, if each of you could just summarize, if there was 1 or 2 ways that farmers can utilize the tools on your website, and then also what ways can farmers follow your projects other than obviously going to your websites? Do you have social media, YouTube, podcasts, what types of resources are out there that farmers could follow along with?
So I'll go ahead and jump in first, if that's okay. For SRIN, I guess the thing I'd want to leave you with or have you have a takeaway for is you can get on here and you can find out what your state is doing. You can check in on your checkoff research. You can find out every detail about projects. You no longer have to just approve them. You can see all the results and the information right on SRIN. Another takeaway is, like we just mentioned, the synergies between different groups. We are proud to be able to represent other groups and other collaborative resources that we can post on here so that you get more information about something. I don't want you to walk away and going, SRIN was the end all. I want you to walk away saying, here's one resource out of many. And that's a great opportunity for farmers to be able to have multiple places to see things and read things. You can find us on social media. We are under Soybean Research and Information Network, or Soy Research Info. So we're on Facebook and Twitter. We also have a monthly newsletter. We'd love for you to subscribe on our website. There's a little link at the bottom of our page to get this every month. You can also find us on the USB site. We have a link, and on NCSRP's site, we have a link. We try to go about everywhere we can, because there's never enough ways to reach people. And that's what we're really trying to do. We're trying to make sure that you have every opportunity to get the information you need. And SRIN is one of the stops.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing. I mean, we are one stop in one of the many stops. I did see a question go through. And one thing I can say is that on the Crop Protection Network website, we have a link to our partners, and you can find both Science for Success, and you can find SRIN on those partner networks, and other groups as well that would be of interest to farmers. And so I think those would be places that are forthcoming for CPN, is we're trying to enhance the visibility of those collaborations on our new website. But for us, I think one of the things that we like to really emphasize is that if you're interested in sort of what's happening, multi-state, multi-region impact, the Crop Protection Network is really strong in that space, providing information on soybean disease management. We have a lot of that information, and a lot of the information that we offer, you can get CCA continuing education credit for just coming and viewing and being part of that.
Fantastic. And I'll just conclude with Science for Success. I think the real value of Science for Success is that you have researchers and extension specialists whose large part of their programs are supported by the Checkoff, now collaborating to deliver best management strategies to growers across the U.S. And we really modeled this off of what the Crop Protection Network was doing in disease management. And we're able to develop some very robust data sets to make recommendations on, and our information is available through SRIN, but also through our local extension networks, which hopefully many of you are engaging with. Bill Wiebold has been involved in some of our projects several years ago. And again, I'll reemphasize, we hope that the new extension specialists at the University of Missouri will collaborate with our group as well, so that your state level checkoff investment can also be amplified up into national extension knowledge to deliver best management practices.
Hey, I'm going to jump in and answer that question if you don't mind, because I think it's a fantastic question. Is there a single point that farmers can go to access all these resources? And I think that is a great idea. It's something we don't have in place right now, but I think it's something that the three of us can put together and say, hey, let's have one QR code and you can get all three links from there. And maybe it's a little sheet that appears on all of our websites that says, here's where you go for the next one. So that is something we will definitely be working on this year, and very quickly, because I think that's a great solution.
Yeah, I completely agree. Great question. Well, I think, thanks again to our three panelists today. They did an excellent job. I hope all of the attendees learned some of the resources that are out there and how you can utilize them to help make decisions for your farm. We all know that there's always challenges, always questions on production, especially. And I think one great thing about these three projects are that they're very production focused. They're really at the production level, answer the questions that farmers have on a yearly basis. So great tools, great end game of Checkoff funded research. And we're just really pleased that these three do such an excellent job keeping those updated and usable. So if there aren't any other questions, then we will go ahead and end the webinar. Once again, thanks everyone for joining. Be looking for the future Farm in Focus webinars from Missouri Soybeans. I know Samantha has many great lineups planned for the rest of the year. So thanks again. Thanks to our panelists, and everybody have a great day.
Thank you.